apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 2011280L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3, he's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
They're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And the NFL draft is upon us. It's tomorrow night in Las Vegas at 8 o'clock Eastern. And for the second year in a row, the Jacksonville Jaguars have the number 1 pick. And, you know, you would think the Jaguars would go with the sure thing in Aiden Hutchinson. I thought last week Aiden Hutchinson was the consensus number 1 overall pick. But seeing the odds now, it looks like Trayvon Walker is going to be the number 1 pick. And in my mock draft, and for the first pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have them selecting Trayvon Walker, and I'm not the biggest fan of this because I think if you're the Jaguars, you're going potential overproduction here, and that's a problem because Trayvon Walker was not even voted All SEC, and he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. Most guys that are drafted in the first round, they were at least all conference. This guy wasn't even all conference. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick. So I got Trayvon Walker. I think they should take Aiden Hutchinson here, but it looks like the Jaguars are going to take Trayvon Walker with the number 1 overall pick. And in my mock draft, I got the Jaguars taking Walker with the number 1 overall pick. Justin, who do you got the Jags taking?
I got him going offensive lineman. I got him taking Evan Neal, and I know, it sounds like they're going Trayvon Walker here, but I think if you want – I know they tried to upgrade that offensive line. I know they just signed Cam Robinson to extension this morning, but still, I think you need to get better in that line. You kind of saw Lawrence really struggle, last year getting protection. I think Evan Neal is a guy come in here, do a really good job because he played all 5 positions. He played both guard spots. He played both tackle spots. He even played center in Alabama. So he's a guy I think, he can move around anywhere in that offensive line. He did a really good job, and he comes in and brings a winning culture playing at Alabama. And so I think Jacksonville should go offensive lineman here with Evan Neal. And again, you want Lawrence to be your franchise quarterback for the next decade plus. You want Evan, you want to bulk up that offensive line.
Yeah, they did franchise Cam Robinson, but you definitely want to bolster that offensive line. Evan Neal would be a great pick there. Really, knowing how poor the Jaguars roster is, any of these picks would be good picks. I mean, the Jaguars need help everywhere, so I wouldn't be surprised where they go. It's a weird year, in the first round. There isn't that consensus number 1 pick. The Jags could really take one of like 8 guys with the number 1 overall pick, but. I got Trayvon Walker. You got Evan Neal, so it should be very interesting to see what the Jags do at number 1. But the Lions are number 2. And for the Lions, I think they're going to be happy if the Jags don't take Aiden Hutchinson, because I think it's pretty obvious who they're going to take here. They're going to take the kid from Michigan. Their defense was absolutely terrible last year, and they need an edge rusher. Aiden Hutchinson had a phenomenal year at Michigan with 14 sacks last year. He was a first-team All-American. Probably the biggest reason why the Wolverines got to the college football playoff last year. I mean, he's a really good pass rusher, and he would really help on that Lions defense. That's why with the number 2 overall pick, I got the Lions taking Aiden Hutchinson. Justin, do you agree with me that the Lions should take Aiden Hutchinson number 2 overall?
I do. I also agree that Lions should take Aiden Hutchinson here at number 2. He's 21 years old. I think he's still got some room to grow here. And, 2 of his biggest games of the season were against Ohio State in that big game, final week to get in the Big Ten championship game, and then Iowa as well in the Big Ten championship game. So, he played big spots. I know he's struggling with the Georgia game, but, but other than that, he played really well. He's still, he's still developing his inside moves and all that. But, yeah, I think he's another guy, Michigan, played in Michigan, goes to Detroit, good culture. I think he'd really help, as you mentioned too. Detroit's defense last year was horrible. They really showed that the quarterback, Aiden Hutchinson, will help you improve in that category.
Absolutely. So with the number 3 overall pick, that goes to the Houston Texans. And I've been hearing a lot of rumors about Derek Stingley in that spot. But I'm thinking, if they're going to take Derek Stingley, why wouldn't they just take Ahmad Gardner? He's more durable, and I think he's as good. He didn't even allow a touchdown last year. Granted, that was in the AAC. But still, he didn't allow a touchdown last year. Alabama completely avoided him in that college football playoff game. The biggest reason why Alabama was able to move the ball against Cincinnati was because Brian Robinson ran for over 200 yards. So Alabama completely avoided him in that college football playoff game. So I think the smart move for the Texans should be, I think they should take Ahmad Gardner, number 3 overall. And I have the Texans taking Ahmad Gardner, number 3 overall. But, Justin, it looks like you got the Texans beefing up on that defensive line.
Yes, I do. I got him taking Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. He's a guy that when, he disappears at times. That's kind of been one of his flaws. But when he's engaged and all that, he's got great explosiveness off the ball. And he's pretty good too. You kind of, if you want to drop him back into coverage, I think Houston as well needs to really improve that defense. I think they can go, secondary or edge here.
Oh, so Houston's like a Lions, a Jaguars, a Jets. One of the worst rosters in football. They can go anywhere.
Yeah, they could. And, I think trying, and even off the line, they could go help out Davis Mills. They can go anywhere. But I think, right now, best player probably on the board at number 3 and by mock draft would be Kayvon Thibodeau. I think you take that guy, bulk up that defense, and get some pass rushing going, because they really didn't have that at all last year as well.
Absolutely. As we've said, the Texans could go anywhere with this pick. Thibodeau, he was good in college. He wasn't great in college, but I think he's the player that has the highest ceiling of anybody in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he could kind of turn into a guy, like a Myles Garrett type guy. Like I think he could be that good. He was supposed to be like the consensus number 1 guy going into the year. It's just, I know he's injured for a little bit, and it's the problem has been for him is he just disappears at times. And if he can kind of play all the snaps and kind of be engaged all the time, I think he's going to be a really tough out for offensive line. You're going to have to play against him on the offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be a top player. It should be if his potential matches up with his production, he's going to be a top player in this league. He'll be an all-pro. And that's why at number 4 with the Jets, I have them selecting Kayvon Thibodeau with the number 4 overall pick. I feel like the Jets defense was absolutely terrible last year. They need an edge rusher. They do have Quentin Williams as an playing defensive tackle, but they need an interior. They need an edge rusher. So I think the Jets, Kayvon Thibodeau would be a great choice for the Jets, even though the Jets could, obviously they're another team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, they can go anywhere. I got the Jets with the number 4 overall pick taking Kayvon Thibodeau. Justin, you got him taking a defensive lineman as well.
Yeah, I got him taking Trevion Walker, your number 1 pick. I think, you mentioned the Jets could pretty much go anywhere. I think they need to get still a little bit better, still kind of interior as well, the Jets. And, Walker is a guy who's really good at stopping the run. Still got to get some better pass rushing moves. He's not great in that yet, but I think he's got the potential to be really, really good in that. But he's really good at stopping the run, and that's something the Jets really struggled with last year. So I like the Jets here getting Travion Walker, number 4.
All right, now to my team at the number 5 overall pick. They got 2 first-round picks. They got the 5th pick and the 7th overall pick. So with the 5th overall pick, Joe Shane has said he's going to take the best player available. Need is probably not going to matter. But looking at this draft, what the Giants definitely need is an offensive tackle. They definitely need a tackle with one of these 2 picks. And I just don't think Ike Ekwonu. I don't think anybody really is better than Ike Ekwonu at this stage. So that's at this point in the draft. So that's why I got my Giants taking Ike Ekwonu to pair up with Andrew Thomas. They need a tackle. I think this is a pick that's really going to help this offensive line. So I got my Giants taking Ike Ekwonu with the number 5 overall pick.
Yeah, same with me. I got Ike Ekwonu out of NC State going number 5 to your Giants. They've been trying to fix that offensive line the last 5 years. I think it's another good addition to help kind of further that along. He only gave up 3 sacks and 476 passes past blocking snaps last year. So he's really good at protecting the quarterback. And he's really good against, and people say he's even better against in the running game than he is in the passing game. So I think, for the Giants here, best guy on the board, Ike Ekwonu here, going the Giants number 5 to, again, trying to figure that off the line, which has been a problem for the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to get this off. They don't need to be great on the offensive line. They need this offensive line to be competent. You got to see what Daniel Jones can do with not a great offensive line, but a competent offensive line. The line has got to be competent to see if Daniel Jones is going to be your guy in the future. That's why Ekwonu makes a ton of sense for the Giants at number 5. At number 6, this is where it gets interesting for the Panthers, because I don't know if they're going to make this pick at 6, but there is a good chance the Panthers are going to take a quarterback with their first-round pick. I don't know if they make it at 6 because there's a good chance they trade down, but I think with this pick, and this is going to shock some people, I got the Panthers taking Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh with this pick. Kenny Pickett, he doesn't have a lot of upside, but I feel like he is the most sure thing in this draft at the quarterback position. This is a terrible quarterback class. It's probably one of the worst quarterback classes in 8 or 9 years. But Kenny Pickett, to me, is the most sure thing. The Panthers need a quarterback. Sam Darnold is not the guy. He proved that last year. I hate saying it because I was a Sam Darnold guy since he got drafted, but he's not the guy. So I think with this pick, I got the Panthers taking Kenny Pickett. Yes, Pickett does not have a ton of upside, but he's gotten a lot of Kirk Cousins comparison. So if you put a lot of guys around him, he could be successful. So with the number 6 overall pick, I got Kenny Pickett. Justin, it looks like you got the Panthers passing on a quarterback.
Yeah, I originally did that pick and I changed it because I was hearing the same things that they may draft down, they may trade down. So I was like, so if they go at number 6 and they can't find something, I think it's Charles Cross, the offensive lineman out of Mississippi State. They're so bad in pass protection last year. Charles Cross coming over from an air raid offense at Mississippi State, and he only allowed 3 sacks last year, over 682 pass attempts that Mississippi State had last year. He's got very long arms, which helps, against the edge guys. And I think he's another good addition for Carolina because they just really, really showed last year protecting their quarterback. I know you mentioned Sam Darnold had not been great, but he got something around him, some offensive line help. You could stay healthy. Maybe you can find something in him. So I got them taking Charles Cross at number 6.
Yeah. Yes. Carolina, that offensive line, it just was a major issue last year. If they're not going to go quarterback, I think they're definitely going offensive line. I think you can count on that. So now back to my Giants with the number 7 overall pick. And I was looking at who they would get with this selection. I was looking at maybe an edge rusher, but I got them taking the best player available here. And I got them taking Kyle. I know they already have Xavier McKinney, but I got him taking Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame. I think the kid's going to be he's got good size for a safety. He could stop the run. He could stop the run and he could cover. I think he's going to be a really, really good player in this league. And the Giants right now who are rebuilding, I feel like Kyle Hamilton and Xavier McKinney could be a great pair of safeties going forward for them. So I have the Giants at number 7 taking Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm going secondary as well, but I got Amani Gardner out of Cincinnati. He actually did not allow, I know you mentioned he didn't allow a touchdown all year, but he actually did not allow one his entire career.
Wow.
Cincinnati. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So over 1,000 snaps that he had. So he's been great. He's physical, but again, that can lead to penalties, but he plays physical. He's a confident guy. I think, the Giants want to bring some swagger back on that defense side of the ball from 2 years ago. I think Gardner could bring that. I think Gardner could be your number one corner. I think the Giants here, I do think with you, I think they go secondary here at number 7. They don't at number 5. And I got them taking Gardner.
Yeah, and that's smart to have them taking Gardner if he's available, because there's a very good chance that the Giants are going to cut James Bradberry or try to trade James Bradberry because his cap hit is just too much, and he wasn't Joe Shane's guy. So I think there's a very good chance the Giants do cut bait with James Bradberry. So Ahmad Gardner would make a lot of sense here, and he's a good man corner. And Wick Martindale, the defensive coordinator, likes a lot of man coverage.
Yeah, he does. He does. And I think maybe Martindale's guy because. Baltimore too. Seems like they've always got some physical cornerbacks as well. So I think he'd fit that. I think he'd fit kind of the scheme here that Giants would want to play. So yeah, I think it would be a really good addition if he is sitting there at number 7.
Absolutely. So with the number 8 pick, that goes to the Atlanta Falcons, and this is another team with they're a bottom 5 roster right now. They're a bottom 5 roster with the Jets, the Texans, the Lions, the Jags. I mean, the Giants did have a top. They have 2 top 10 picks, but a big reason why the Giants are – I'm not making excuses as a Giants fan, but the big reason why the Giants are picking where they're picking is because they had so many injuries last year. They're definitely have a better roster than the Falcons, the Jets, the Texans, and the Jaguars. So, but with the Falcons pick, they could go a lot of places here. They can go edge rusher. They could go offensive line. But I think with Calvin Ridley being suspended for the season and the fact that you might draft the top quarterback next year, you want to get him a receiver. And that's why I got the Falcons taking Garrett Wilson, number 8 overall. Guy's got a ton of speed, great route runner. The only issue is size, but a great route runner, got a ton of speed. I think he's going to be a really, really good receiver in this league. That's why at number 8 overall, I got the Atlanta Falcons taking Garrett Wilson. And Justin, it looks like you agree.
Yep, I'm with you at Garrett Wilson. I'm with you. Get the wide receiver this year, wait for the quarterback next year. And go get the quarterback in next year's draft. Yeah, he's great. He's so electric. He's a special player. I'm with you. I think he's going to be a special talent here. As long as Atlanta could get him decent quarterback, Atlanta's got zero offense. Well, besides Kyle Pitts, there's not much talent that this offense has right now. I think Garrett Wilson is going to help that out a little bit. And I think he'd be an exciting player for Atlanta because there's not going to be much hope, especially on that offense next year. But Garrett Wilson and Kyle Pitts could be 2 exciting young players for Atlanta to look at in the future.
Absolutely. With the number 9 overall pick, and this would have been the Broncos pick, but the Seahawks got this pick because they traded Russell Wilson. The Seahawks are another team with a bad roster in the top 10. They're another team with a bad roster, and this is another place where they could go probably anywhere on defense. They could probably, outside of the skill positions, they definitely need to. I feel like they definitely need to address their offensive line with they haven't signed Dwayne Brown yet. They really don't have a good offensive line at all. And that's where I got him going. I got him going offensive line because I think this offensive line is bad. And if they're going to get a new quarterback in the next year or two, they need to be able to protect him. So I think with this pick and at this stage, I think this is the best guy available at 9. I got the Seahawks taking Evan Neal with the number 9 overall pick. Justin, looks like you got them addressing their secondary.
Yeah, going secondary here. Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU. I think he kind of fits what Seattle wants to bring defensively. He's really good at man coverage. Does struggle at times to get off his blocks, though, in that. Now, he's had some injury concerns over the last couple of years, but you can see on the field he's a really talented cornerback. Seattle's going to need that as their secondary, it's kind of fall apart the last couple of years. But I think he'd be a special talent at the cornerback spot, and I have Seattle upgrading their defense.
Yeah, they're I think outside of the bottom, that the teams in the bottom 5, they have one of the worst rosters in the league right now as well. So I very easily could see them taking Derek Stingley. Very easily could see them taking a corner. They could either go anywhere on defense or offensive line for me. But with the number 10, with the 10th overall pick, a pick that the Jets got from Seattle. This would have been Seattle's pick, but when the Seahawks traded Jamal Adams to the Jets got this pick. I think it's obvious where the Jets are going here because there is a good chance that the Jets trade for Deebo Samuel. This is going to be the 49ers pick, but there's a very good chance I think there's a very good chance that the Jets give up this pick. But if the Jets have this pick, I think it's obvious where they're going. They've been in the market to try to get a receiver. They struck out on Tyreek Hill. They're trying to get Deebo Samuel. But if they have this pick, I feel like the Jets it's pretty obvious who they're going to take because Garrett Wilson's off the board. I feel like they're going to take Drake London. 6'4", got a ton of size. He's going to be really good in the red zone. You got to put Zach Wilson in a position to succeed. And I feel like you got to get Zach Wilson this weapon. He's been compared to Mike Evans. That's a great comp. I think he's going to be a really, really good receiver in this league. He had over 1,000 receiving yards and only played 8 games. And after he stopped playing for USC, they didn't even win a game. So I think Drake London makes a ton of sense. Number 10 overall, the Jets. And Justin, it looks like you agree. And I think in a lot of mock drafts, this is what a lot of people have. This is probably the most common pick in every mock draft.
Yeah, this year there's not many. Usually there's a couple of surefire. I think not this year, but yeah, this has been probably one of the ones. I think he definitely fits. He can fly down the field. And Zach Wilson, I think he's much better at deep ball accuracy. And I think Drake London can fly down the field. Yeah, he had an unbelievable year. 8 games, and he was probably, if he stayed healthy, he had probably a shot to get to New York and be like on the Heisman watch there. I don't think he would have won it, but I think he could have been kind of sitting there and been close. But yeah, I think he's ready to be number 1 wide receiver as long. It sounds like everything coming off the ankle injury, broken ankle, sounds like it's, he's doing good and all that. So I think he'd be a number 1 guy next year for him. Him and Elijah Moore could really help out Zach Wilson this year. Again, yeah, and you mentioned the Jets. It seems like, Jets were really in the market this offseason for a wide receiver. They don't get something with Deebo Samuel the next, 24 hours or so. Yeah, I think Drake London goes here.
Absolutely. And yeah, and it makes so much sense, too, is because Elijah Moore's a number 2. He's a slot receiver. This guy's a number 1 receiver. So this would make so much sense. If London's there, this is the most sure I am of any pick in the draft. If the Jets have this selection and London's there, this is the most sure I am of any pick in the draft that it's going to happen. But with the number 11 pick, the Washington Commanders, I mean, this is a team, they could address receiver. I say receiver or secondary for this team. And I got him addressing the secondary, and I got him taking Derek Stingley. Yes, this is a boomer bust player. I think outside of Trayvon Walker, this is the most boomer bust player in this draft. We all remember his freshman year. We thought his freshman year, this guy as a junior was going to be the number 1 overall pick. But he's only played 10 games in the last 2 years for LSU. But this guy's a really good man corner. He's a shutdown corner, and that's why I got Washington taking him with the 11th overall pick.
Yeah, I'm going linebacker with Devin Lloyd out of Utah. He had a really good season, 22 tackles for loss last year, which is second in the country. He's getting a little bit better in pass coverage as well, but he's still got room to grow, and I think he's going to keep getting better. He had 2 really big games against Oregon there down the stretch of the season. So I thought he was a Pac-12 Defense Player of the Year. He had a phenomenal season. And I think Devin Lloyd goes to number 11. I know maybe a little bit too high for him, but I could see Washington dressing a linebacker here. And I see him going out and getting Devin Lloyd. Yeah,
you remember that pick 6 Devin Lloyd had in that conference championship game.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that was one of his 4 last year. So yeah, he's got some good hands too. Yeah, as his pass coverage has improved over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. So at number 12, the Vikings, they did a good job improving their defense this offseason, going out and getting Zadarius Smith, going out and getting Jordan Hicks. But I think in the draft, they continue to improve their defense. And I got them going corner. And I got them taking Trent McDuffie out of Washington. He's a little undersized, but he's probably the best tackling corner in this draft. That's why at number 12 overall, I got the Vikings taking Trent McDuffie.
Yep, I'm with you. I got Minnesota here taking going secondary. I think Trent McDuffie, he's a guy too that could kind of play anywhere in the secondary. You can line up at the slide, you can line up outside. He didn't allow pass touchdown either in 2021. And, I think he's a guy that he's been better in zone coverage, but I think he's got a high ceiling. And I think you can place him with a Patrick Peterson, let him grow. I think he's going to help him out too as well. So I got Minnesota here addressing their secondary.
With the number 13 overall pick, that is the Texans go again because they traded for Deshaun Watson. This was the Browns pick, but with the Browns trading Deshaun Watson, the Texans trading Deshaun Watson, the Browns, the Texans got this pick. I got the Texans. I think they addressed their defense. Now they got to address their offense. I am addressing their offensive line. I got them taking Charles Cross out of Mississippi State. I think this guy is a good tackle, and I think the Texans need help on the offensive line. That's why I got them taking Cross out of Mississippi State. But, Justin, you got them addressing their defense. You got them addressing their. You got them. Did you pick defense the first time for them?
Yeah, defense.
You got them addressing their defense again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think here for Houston, it's we talked about too, is they can kind of go anywhere. They kind of need help anywhere. And I have them getting Kyle Hamilton. Again, he's going to be the best player available. That again, if he's sitting there 13, that's going to be a really lucky pick there for them. He's one of the best defense players in this draft, especially in the secondary. He had 8 picks in 31 games. He's great too when you want to blitz with him. He's really good there. And he's big enough to kind of line up in the slot against somebody or line up against wide receivers as well. And even tight end. So he can kind of guard anywhere and he's got the speed too as well to guard some of those slot guys. So I think Kyle Hamilton would really help out the Houston Texans secondary there as they're trying to rebuild that defense.
Yeah, if Hamilton's there, the Texans got to take him. They absolutely got to take him. He's got a ton of upside. I know he doesn't play the most premier position in the league, but if Hamilton's there, the Texans got to take him.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I had him at 13. I know he could probably go sooner, but as we talked about, it's tough sometimes to draft a safety that high. So yeah, maybe he does fall there to 13. And absolutely, I think if he's sitting there at number 13, Houston Texans got to jump all over him.
Yeah, I got him going 7 to the Giants, but that is the one top player I could see falling just because of the position he plays.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it happens, but yeah, I think it could be very possible that he drops, and yeah, I think that'd be a great addition there for the Houston Texans to get a guy like Kyle Hamilton to help out their secondary.
Absolutely, absolutely. The number 14th overall pick goes to the Ravens, and I think the biggest issue with the Ravens, their pass defense was terrible last year. The biggest reason was they didn't have a great pass rush, and their corners were all banged up. Peters was out for the year, and Humphrey missed time too. They could go offensive line here. They could go edge rusher, but I think because the top 3 tackles are off the board, I got them going edge rusher. And I got them taking Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. He was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He had 12 sacks, and he did it all on a bad team. He really carried a bad team on defense last year. So with the 14th overall pick, I got the Ravens taking Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, me too. I got him taking Jermaine Johnson to help out that defense. The transfer from Georgia, and you saw how good Georgia's defense was last year. You just could not get one of the starting jobs with that team, and comes over to Florida State, and yeah, he had a breakout season. He's got a great spin move. He's got a great one-arm bull rush there as well. He kind of helped Florida State out there. Their defense did kind of get a little bit better throughout the year, and he was a big reason for it. Georgia kind of recommended him to Florida State to say, hey, go after this guy. It was a big addition for him, and I think he could help out Baltimore as well because Baltimore always has great pass rushers. Last year, the injury problems and all that, they kind of struggled. I think, Jermaine Johnson is going to help out that problem, that pass rush problem, big time for the Ravens. Absolutely. With the number 15th overall pick, this goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have 2 first-round picks, and in this draft, I feel like the Eagles they're looking to upgrade their receiving core. Even though they drafted Devontae Smith last year, they're still looking to upgrade that receiving core. And for me, it was down to Chris Olave and Jameson Williams. And Jameson Williams, if he didn't tear his ACL, he'd easily be a top 5 pick. He would be the best receiver in this draft. But with the torn ACL, Williams' stock has dropped a little bit. But I think between the two, I think you're looking at the guy who's going to be who could be great. I don't think Olave is going to be a superstar, but I do think Jameson Williams has potential to be a superstar, and that's why with the number 15 overall pick, I got the Eagles taking Jameson Williams out of Alabama. Me as well. I got him taking Jameson Williams. Again, he almost averaged 20 yards to catch last year. He could be involved in that running game too with the sweeps, as they kind of did at times last year with Devontae Smith, and maybe they get a guy like Jalen Reagor. That's 3 really outstanding quick wide receivers that they have at their disposal. And again, if Jalen Hurts isn't the guy, they move up for a quarterback next year, they get somebody else. You're pairing them with 3 really good wide receivers for the future. So I think the Eagles could address another need here, but they do have another pick, and I think Jameson Williams is sitting there. Would not be shocked to see the Eagles take him at number 15.
Not at all. And he could be the steal of the draft. If this guy comes back from his ACL injury, this guy could be the steal of the draft. But even though I got him going 15, he very easily could be the best player in this draft.
Oh, absolutely. You saw the speed against that he had at Alabama last year. And the thing, and not too many cornerbacks are going to be able to stay with them. He's just such a downfield threat. And if you can get it to him, it's going to be very hard to stop him. And he's tough to tackle too at his size and, his quickness and his elusiveness. So, yeah, I think he could totally be a steal of the draft here. If he can come off that ACL injury and be as productive and kind of keep the speed and quickness that he had before it, he's going to be an outstanding player.
Absolutely, absolutely. We got the Saints with the number 16 overall pick, and they traded to get 2 picks in the first round. I think a big reason for that is I think they're buying into Jameis Winston. I think they're buying into Jameis Winston for the next 2 years. I think they're buying to Jameis Winston, and they want to get players that are going to help this roster out. This is a little bit of a reach here, but I do think that I know this is a reach, but I think they got to solve their problem at tackle because they lost Teron Armstead in free agency. This is a reach, but I think that Trevor Penning is going to be – he's a rookie, but I think he's going to be better than James Hurst, and that's why with the number 16 overall pick, I got the New Orleans Saints taking Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa.
Yeah, I got him addressing offense as well, but I'm going wide receiver Chris Olave. Again, you can't really trust Michael Thomas anymore. He hasn't been healthy the last 2 years. You need somebody to throw the football to. He's a very good red zone target. He's a physical wide receiver. He's a really good route runner, and he had a really good season last year at Ohio State. I see the Saints here going wide receiver, trying to get somebody. Maybe if you can get Michael Thomas to come back, play a full season or close to it, that's a pretty good duo you got there at the wide receivers position.
Yeah, absolutely. The number 17th overall pick is the Chargers, and the Chargers don't have a ton of needs. They have really seeing what they did in the offseason, going out and trading for Khalil Mack, signing J.C. Jackson. They got a ton of talent on offense. But the one issue with the Chargers last year was their run defense. Their run defense was absolutely pathetic, and I feel like they need a run stuffer in the middle. So with the 17th overall pick, I got the Chargers taking Jordan Davis. This guy was a beast last year. That's why very few teams could run on Georgia last year, because this guy was a beast. Yeah, he may not be a great NFL player, but he's going to be a very productive NFL player. He may not be able to play on third down, but he's going to be very, very productive. And the Chargers, a team that struggled to stop the run, this guy will really help that issue. That's why I got this with the 17th overall pick. I got the Chargers taking Jordan Davis.
Yeah, Jordan, that'd be a great pick to help that run, the rushing game defensively last year. Yeah, they got torched. I have him going at linebacker Nakobe Dean out of Georgia. So, Jordan Davis' teammate here. I know that there's some size concerns with him, but he's such a good playmaker, and he was a captain of that Georgia defense. And he was the only player in the FBS last year with 5 sacks, or 5+ sacks, 2 or more interceptions, or two or more forced fumbles. So he had a really productive year. He's good in coverage too, and I know like the Chargers really like they worry a lot more about their pass defense. It seems like than their rushing defense last year, and if that's the case, you bring in a guy like Nakobe Dean, who's going to help at the linebacker position as well. And he's a really good. He can read out the play really, really well. He doesn't really get duped a lot, and I think this would be a really good addition here for the Chargers. Again, with all the offensive talent that's in that division, to just get better at the defensive position is really going to help.
The number 18th overall pick is going to go to the Eagles. And with this pick, I got them upgrading this defensive line. I got them taking Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia. I think Fletcher Cox is getting up there in age. You saw the Eagles release him and then they brought him back. He's not the same player, especially getting the quarterback that he once was. That's why I got the Eagles taking Devontae Wyatt with the number 18th overall pick.
I'm on defensive line, but I'm going with your last pick. I got him taking Jordan Davis. Again, he's 6'6", 341, and he ran a 4.7. He's just a one-man wrecking crew last year. And, he's going to be great, as you mentioned, creating havoc there and just kind of just stuff in the running game. And he's even great closing speed-wise, on running back. So, he's probably not going to be a 3-down defensive tackle, but, again, the first couple of downs there, I think he can really, he's really going to be a pain to handle for offensive lines because of his size. And for his size, he can run too. He's got a pretty good motor.
With the 19th overall pick is also the Saints pick. And this is an interesting one right here. I mean, this is but I got the Saints upgrading this receiving core just like you did with the 16th pick. I got the Saints taking Chris Olave, like you said. They have trouble relying on Michael Thomas. This would give Jameis Winston another weapon. When Michael Thomas was out, the Saints had one of the worst receiving cores in the league last year. That's why their quarterback play struggled. Even though their quarterback play wasn't good after Jameis Winston got hurt, it was sometimes their offense was really tough to watch because their receivers were absolutely terrible. And I think this will definitely upgrade their receiving core with Chris Olave. That's why I got the Saints taking him with the 19th pick. Justin, it looks like you got another QB coming off the board.
Yeah, I got my first QB coming off the board, number 19 here, Malik Willis. Yeah, I know they're going to have Winston here for next year, for next 2 years probably. But, and I don't think, Willis may be ready year two. I think he's got a ton of upside, but I think he's still really, really raw. So I don't think he's going to play right away, and they want Winston here for another couple years. I think it's good. I think, with the Saints, with their offensive creativity, I know Sean Payton has a lot to do with that. But I think he could fit in. He kind of fits what most quarterbacks are nowadays. He can really run. He's really athletic. He's got a strong arm. Now, at times it's, not very accurate, but he's got a really good arm. And if he can kind of figure it out and he kind of fixes accuracy problems, I think he could be a really, really good NFL quarterback.
And talking about Malik Willis with the number 20th overall pick, I got him going off the board, and I got him going to the Steelers. As you said, I mean, he's got a ton of upside. I think this quarterback has the most upside of anybody in this draft. I think he's got the most upside. I think he's got mobility. He's got a really good arm. The issue is the interceptions. He had 12 interceptions last year. The interceptions are an issue. Those have to get cleaned up. He can't be doing that. But in this division where the Steelers are going to have to face Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson for the next decade, they need their own quarterback. They're not going to be doing that with Mitch Trubisky. So I got Malik Willis going here at 20, and I think this is the best spot. The two spots we got Willis are really, really good spots because he can sit and learn. Because teams like the Saints and Steelers are going to be in it until the first week of December. Even though their quarterback play is not great, their rosters are good enough to be in it. And with Pittsburgh, their coaching is good enough to be in it until the first couple weeks of December. So I think this would be these two spots we have Malik Willis going to are really good spots for him to succeed. But Justin, you got another quarterback coming off the board for the Steelers.
Yeah, but I got him taking the Pittsburgh Panther, Kenny Pickett. He made some really good tries last year. He's really good against pressure. His accuracy improved as well last year. I think Pitt needs a franchise guy now. Maybe they do want to go Mitch Trubisky this year. That's what kind of sounds like. But again, he's not your future quarterback. I think maybe, Pickett here, again, he's only a couple years younger than Sam Darnold. He's already 24 years old. He's an older guy still, and he's got some athletic ability. If he, if play breaks down, he can kind of get loose there and get some yardage. But I think he's a guy that, could be a good franchise quarterback. I don't think he's going to be, elite, but I think he'd be good. I think he could be a good franchise quarterback. And you mentioned too, Pittsburgh with their coaching, I think they could help him. They could kind of help him get good enough to, again, be the Pittsburgh that we've kind of known here for the last 20 years, of just kind of being competitive, getting the playoffs. I think he could be right around the top 10, top 15 quarterback. If his career, if he could reach the potential.
Absolutely. And the thing is out of the teams that need quarterbacks, the Steelers, the Saints, the Panthers, and the Lions in this draft, I feel like the Steelers is definitely the best destination because you have the combination of coaching and talent. You have the talent, you have the coaching, and you're not forced into action early. If you go to Detroit and you go to Detroit or Carolina, you're going to be forced into action because they don't really have a good quarterback. I think if the Lions have a bad roster, so they're going to be losing a lot of games, and Jared Goff isn't that good, so they're probably going to be 2-7, 9 games into the season, and you're going to get forced into action. If you go to Carolina, you're probably going to be in that same situation. You're going to be like 3-7 in week 10, and you're going to get forced into action. In Pittsburgh, you probably can sit year one. You could take a red shirt year and sit and learn. Probably the same thing in New Orleans. In Pittsburgh and New Orleans, you could learn. If you go to Carolina or Detroit, you're going to be on the field next year.
Yeah, it's a great point because I with you. I think all these kind of quarterbacks here, I think like a Pickett could probably play year one, maybe towards the end of the year. But yeah, I think a lot of these guys do need that 1 year here to kind of learn the game, learn the NFL game, kind of learn from the veterans, sit on the bench, kind of watch, kind of observe. And yeah, I think, and as you know, with Pittsburgh, the coaching, the talents there defensively, where, Pickett in your case for your mock draft, Malik Willis kind of sit year one, kind of learn the offense, learn the system, kind of just get their feet wet in the NFL system and kind of learn, because it's a different game. It's a different thing, now going to the NFL. And so I think that would definitely help, going to Pittsburgh, going to New Orleans for these guys. Definitely you could sit a year, learn the game, kind of figure it out, and, go from there and kind of see, if you're depending on the team, maybe starting year two, depending on how the team kind of feels and how the development went.
Yeah, and I think Carolina, and then for the other side, for Carolina and Detroit, I think Carolina is worse than Detroit because I think you're going to get forced in even earlier in Carolina because Matt Rule's job's on the line. Dan Campbell's job is not on the line. So we'll play Jared Goff. I think we'll play Jared Goff at least 8 or 9 games, no matter what happens, no matter how many games they lose. Matt Rule, his job is on the line. It could be very, very early. You're getting forced into action. And none of these quarterbacks are quarterbacks I think that can play right away. And that's rare. That's rare nowadays, but I don't think this is a bad quarterback class. I don't think any of these quarterbacks can play right away.
No, I'm with you. I don't think so either. I really don't. I think Pickett could maybe in the second half of the year, maybe just because he's older, maybe. But, I think, Willis needs a year. Desmond Ridder needs a year. Matt Corral probably needs a year. Like a Carolina taking quarterback. Yeah, I could see him, like a Kenny in years, like a Kenny Pickett going there year one. Yeah, he could definitely struggle if Matt Rule kind of forces him into action. I could really see that being problematic for him, especially if that offensive line doesn't get better. And and you kind of see, I think that really hurt Sam Darnold playing with the Jets the last couple of years. And then I thought maybe I think we were both kind of like maybe going to Carolina is going to help him out. And it really hasn't. I just think, you go to a bad spot like that and you kind of get forced maybe too early. And I know it was a second overall pick, but, again, it kind of breaks you mentally because none of these guys have failed before. And this, you fail the first time and they just don't know really sometimes how to deal with it.
Exactly. I mean, the great ones like the Andrew Lucks, Peyton Mannings, those prospects that are taken number 1 overall, they'll succeed anywhere. It doesn't matter. But guys that have potential to be B+ you see a lot of quarterbacks in this league that have potential not to be great, but B+ quarterbacks fail because they're put in the wrong situation. Yeah,
the kind of quarterback situation is so important. And sometimes it's just the pressure kind of gets to it. And the struggles, and just not fitting with the right team. And it's sometimes a problem and it just does not pan out for you. And it's there's definitely been guys who have, I think we've all thought that we're going to be pretty good in the NFL level, just never really could fully hit their potential for whatever reason, team, organization, kind of the fit. So it's especially in this class, it's kind of, you got to make sure that the quarterback, you got to make sure that, you can't really force any quarterbacks into action early because, it's just not going to pan out, I don't think, for many of these guys early on for them.
Absolutely. So now we go to your team, the New England Patriots, with number 21 overall pick. And they could go, obviously they can go receiver, they can go cornerback, and they could even go front seven. And I got them taking a guy in the front seven. I think Hightower's getting up there in age. And in 2 of their losses last year, I think a big reason why they lost those games is they couldn't stop the run. The New Orleans game, they couldn't stop Kamara at all at the end. And you all remember that Indy game where Jonathan Taylor had that huge run at the end. And I think a player like Nakobe Dean could prevent that this year. He can make this defense better against the run because this defense won't be as good against the pass because you can't count on Judon to have the year he had for the first to be as good as he was for the first 12 games last year. And you won't have J.C. Jackson on the back end. So you're not going to have as good of a pass defense. If your defense is going to be good this year, you got to be better against the run. And I think Nakobe Dean, with the way Nakobe Dean plays, he's really going to help that. That's why I got the Pats at number 21 taking Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, I'd take him at linebacker. Yes, for me it was tough. But I think linebacker Nakobe Dean would really help us out and trying to. Because you mentioned, our rush defense was horrible, and we got torched in a couple games last year, and it cost us. But I'm going to fix another area of the defense, as you meant to. They could kind of go anywhere here. And I'm going cornerback with Andrew Booth Jr. out of Clemson. He's inconsistent, and he's a guy, too, that he'll gamble at times. But I think he could – I think he's going to develop into a really good cornerback at this level. He's a good playmaker. He's got good size, too, to play cornerback. I like he plays with some fire. He's a vocal guy in the field. He can make plays in the backfield, too, and I think it's – because Julio Peppers was talking about his introductory press conference a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about how they the secondary is going to be a huge piece this year. Like Bill wants to play with like 4 safeties on the field this year. Like I think they really want to upgrade that back end. They lost J.C. Jackson. I think they bring in Andrew Booth Jr. here to fix that up.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriot roster did not have a good offseason. They're going to have to hit with this pick. They really, really going to hit with this pick. And this player has got to be impactful for this team. Wherever he is, whoever they take here, this player has got to be impactful for this team to have success.
Yeah, absolutely, they do. It's if it's on the defensive side of the ball, for me, Andrew Booth Jr., he's going to have to slide in there. He may have to be our corner 1 next year. For Nakobe Dean, he could slide in there and play linebacker because, Dante Howard's getting up there. He's definitely has lost a couple steps there than he has the last couple of years. So, yeah, he's probably going to be, Dean's going to fit right there as a starting linebacker. So, yeah, both these guys would have to have huge impact years. They go wide receiver. That wide receiver, I think, if it's Olave or somehow you're Traylon Burks, they could slide in there, be number 1, number 2 guy right there, Devontae Parker to help out Mac Jones. So, yeah, they kind of need a lot. They could kind of go a lot of different ways here. But, yeah, they do need that guy to be a starter from day one.
Absolutely. So with the 22nd overall pick, the Packers, because they traded Devontae Adams, they get this pick from the Raiders. And they have to try – now they're not going to replace Devontae Adams, but they got to upgrade this receiver room. I know it's been years since the Packers drafted a wide receiver. They must draft a wide receiver with one of these 2 picks. They must do that. They have to do that with one of these 2 picks. You got to put Aaron Rodgers in a position to succeed and in a position to beat the Bucs and the Rams. And a way to get him in position to beat those 2 teams is to get a wide receiver. They got to get one. That's why I got the Packers drafting Treylon Burks with the number 22 overall pick. Had over 1,000 receiving yards at Arkansas. Really, really good receiver. First team all SEC. I got the Packers taking Treylon Burks with the number 22 overall pick.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. Treylon Burks at number 22 going to Green Bay. I have to imagine with Rodgers coming back, one of the things is he wants to kind of have a voice here in this draft and who he wants. And I think the Packers can't keep messing this up. They got to get a wide receiver here. And I think Burks would fit perfectly. He's a big downfield threat. He's a big receiver as well. And he's a guy too that you want to get creative with him. I think he had 2 pass touchdowns as well. They use him in the trick plays as well, and he's got a pretty good arm as well. So, you could kind of use him there for some creativity in the offense. But yeah, the Packers got to find somebody there. I don't think he'll be able to be a number 1 guy right away, but I think in a year or 2 he could be a number 1 wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I think he's going to really, really help that team. With the 23rd overall pick, the Cardinals are on the clock. And I think the Cardinals, yes, they need to get an edge rusher. But at this point, I think they got to improve their linebacking core too. They lost Jordan Hicks. And Devin Lloyd is definitely the best player available at this point. And that's where I think the Cardinals go. I think they take Devin Lloyd with the 23rd overall pick. As we stated earlier in the show, you had him going to Washington. He can cover. He's good against the run. He arguably is the best linebacker in this draft. It's close between him and Nakobe Dean. So with the 23rd overall pick, I got the Cardinals taking Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, I'm going edge here with Georgia. Kerfopoulos out of Purdue. He's got a motor that does not stop. He's a big, powerful guy. He's got some really good pass rusher moves. They lost Chandler Jones the last season. And again, J.J. Watt's great when he's on the field, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So they're going to need him they might need him right away to play at the edge spot. I think he's a guy that could really help Arizona out on that defensive side of the ball. And I think he does have a really high ceiling too. Again, there was one point in the season people were talking about him being like a top 5, top 10 pick, and he could slide to number 23. I think could be a really good steal for the Arizona Cardinals.
Absolutely. With the number 24, the number 24th pick, that is the Dallas Cowboys, and they could go edge. I think edge rusher, offensive line, and receiver are their needs right now. I got them going offensive line because they lost Lyle Collins, they lost Connor Williams, Tyron Smith. He can't stay healthy. So with the 24th overall pick, I got the Cowboys taking a guard. I got them taking Keon Green from Texas A&M.
I got him going as well off the line, but I'm going with Zion Johnson out of Boston College. He's mostly, an interior guy. I know he played tackle as well. At the Senior Bowl, and he did a pretty good job. and even center as well. So he's a guy that could kind of move around there, where Dallas has not been able to stay healthy up front. Again, they had a ton of penalties too up front, last year, ton of false starts, ton of holding calls. He's a guy that does not really let a lot of guys he does not get beat a lot. And I think for Dallas, you got Dak Prescott, you get your franchise guy. I think he could really help out Dallas's offensive line this year.
With the 25th pick, that is the Bills pick. And I think the Bills, yes, you might want to take a guy that could improve that run defense. But with Tre'Davious White tearing his ACL and outside of White, they're thin at corner, I got the Bills going corner. That's why I got the Bills taking Andrew Booth with the 25th overall pick.
I'm going corner too, but I'm going Roger McCary, the corner out of Auburn. I think he's the best press man coverage guy in this draft. He's very good at man coverage as well. And I thought he played really well in the Iron Bowl when whoever he lined up against. And then I think even that Penn State game, he did a really good job on John Dotson as well, who's a really good wide receiver as well. He's undersized, so I think, jump ball situations, he could struggle close to the red zone. But he's a guy that'll play physical, and I think he's a tough guy. And Buffalo needs to improve that secondary, and I think Roger McCary could do that.
With the number 26th overall pick, that goes to the Tennessee Titans. I got them going offensive line. It's funny, we flipped the two picks.
Yeah.
I got them going offensive line. I got them getting Zion Johnson. I think they need to beef up there. They did get Robert Woods in the offseason. I was coming off an ACL. And obviously they got A.J. Brown. Derrick Henry's outstanding. Pretty good defense. I think the offensive line is a concern for this team. They lost Roger Stafford. He went to the Bills. So with number 26th overall pick, I got the Titans going Zion Johnson.
Yeah, I'm going Kenyon Green here out of Texas A&M. He's very good. He's got long arms, and again, that helps to kind of steal the edge there because he's really good in the run game. And he's strong enough too to kind of to drive defensive linemen off the ball. He had a really good year at Texas A&M. I think he could really help Tennessee's offensive line there. Its strength is in the running game, and you got a guy like Derrick Henry that could. That will help out tremendously, adding another guy like that, Green, to that offensive line.
Absolutely. With the number 27th overall pick, that goes to the Buccaneers. And I think the one weakness with the – they got a pretty good front – they got a good front seven, good offensive line. This is a really good roster, but I think obviously the weakness and it's been a weakness for a while for them, it's been the secondary. So that's why I think they beefed that up, and I got them taking Kyler Gordon out of Washington with that pick.
Yeah, I'm going defensive line with Devontae Wyatt, going up with Vita Vea there up front. I think he's a good bull rusher. He's got some nice pass moves as well, and his strength too. He's really strong. He can win some battles up front for the Bucs, and I think another guy. They were great against the run last year, but another guy who's a pretty decent pass rusher as well. He can get after the quarterback. Thought about going secondary to here, but Wyatt was still on the board, so I had him taking Devontae Wyatt.
With the number 28th overall pick, that is the Packers pick again. I mean, there's some spots they can go. They can go offensive line here. They could go, pass rusher. But I got them taking the pass rusher. Because they lost to Darius Smith. I got them taking David Ajabu out of Michigan. If this guy recovers from his ACL injury, this guy's going to be a really, really good player. It's a little bit of a risk taking him here because there's a very good chance he slides to the second round. But if he recovers from that ACL injury, Ajabu is going to be a really, really good player. That's why I got the Packers taking him at 28.
Yeah, they could be a really special player. Hopefully he can come back healthy. And, yeah, that could be a major steal there for the Green Bay Packers. I have him dressed in off of the line with Benhard Riam out of Central Michigan. I think he'll probably fit right away in there, maybe right tackle, probably right tackle. They already get the wide receiver. They address that. And he's a guy that's still really learning the position because he played tight end his first 2 years of college. He kind of tried the offensive line a couple years ago. He did a really good job. He's got a really good work ethic, and he's, I think maybe he's already 24 years old, which is a little bit, for an offensive lineman, could be a little bit concerning. But I think with his work ethic, I think he'd get better because he's still learning the position on the offensive line, and I think he could be a nice addition here to protect Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely. So with the number 29th overall pick, that is the Kansas City Chiefs. They got that pick from the Dolphins, I think. No, the 49ers originally, I think, had that pick, and then they traded it to the Dolphins to trade up to get Trey Lance. So this pick was in the Tyreek Hill deal. So, but with this pick, I got the Chiefs getting a wide receiver. I know they got Valdez. I know they got Valdez Scanling. I know they got Juju, but they need to upgrade that receiver room. And I think Jahan Dotson, I watched him a ton at Penn State. Remember that one-handed catch he had against Ohio State? He's a really good receiver. Yes, he doesn't have the most. He's only 5'11", but I think he could be a really good receiver. You pair him with Patrick Mahomes, I think he could have a really, really good career. That's why I got the Chiefs taking Jahan Dotson at number 29.
Yeah, I like Dotson. I could see him going there. I'm going other wide receiver, though, and George Pickens out of Georgia. He's had his problems staying on the field, and I think that could be a risk here. But I think, he's a guy that, when healthy, he's been really good. He's got some big playmaking ability. He's got to get a bit stronger, but I think he's the guy who can stay on the field, could really help out Patrick Mahomes and that offense. As you mentioned, they lost Tyreek Hill, and now kind of got to upgrade that wide receiver room. I think George Pickens would do that for the Chiefs.
Chiefs pick again at number 30. This is their pick now. They pick again at 30, and I think they got to address their defensive line. I think Frank Clark had a decent year last year, but he wasn't great, and I think they need to address their defensive line. That's why I got the Chiefs taking George Christophilus at number 30.
Yeah, I'm going another kind of edge guy here with David Ajayi. As you mentioned, that guy was a top 15 pick before getting hurt on a pro day. And especially too in that division now, that the defense be important. And yeah, he may not probably play much this year at all, but I think he's a guy for the future for next year. He can be a big playmaker on that defense side of the ball, which you're going to need playing the AFC West. And again, he's still learning to play the position too. He's only been playing football for 5 years, so that only means he's going to grow and get better. And I think David Ajayi could be a great pick for the Kansas City Chiefs to help out that defense.
Then the 31st overall pick goes to the Cincinnati Bengals, and they've done a lot to this offensive line in the offseason. They signed Alex Kappa. They signed Lyle Collins. They signed Ted Karras. But I don't think Ted Karras is going to be the future at the center position. I think they continue to beef up that offensive line, and that's why I got them taking Tyler Linderbaum with the number 31st overall pick.
I'm going secondary for the Bengals here. I'm going Daxton Hill out of Michigan. He's very versatile. I know Jesse Bates is a free agent after next season, so he kind of groomed to take that safety spot over next season. But he also can play corner. He can play in the slot, and he could really hit as well. He'll come downhill and he's a hard hitter. And he had 8 pass breakups last year. That Michigan defense was really good last year. I think he's a guy that could kind of play in a different spots there for the Bengals. Their defense improved last year, but I think it still has some room to grow there. And I think Daxton Hill out of Michigan would be a good pick.
It definitely does. I mean, the defense was good enough to get to a Super Bowl. It was in the middle of the pack, but we all know the big reason they got to the Super Bowl was because of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, it was. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase had an unbelievable season. Yeah, that defense, it was a lot better than it was the year prior, where they got torched, defensively. Yeah, it was good enough, and I think they still got some young pieces that are getting better. So, yeah, I think, Daxton Hill would really help them out there at the back end there to keep improving their defense, kind of taking that next step.
Absolutely. Now we get the last pick in the draft, and this pick goes to the Lions because the Lions traded Matthew Stafford to the Rams. And I think the Lions take a quarterback here. I think this is where they go quarterback, and they go with Desmond Ridder. And it's very smart to take a quarterback with this pick because you get that fifth-year option. If they take a quarterback in the second round, they don't get that fifth-year option. So I think it's very smart to take the quarterback here to get that fifth-year option. So I got the Lions taking Desmond Ridder. They could wait until next year to get a quarterback, but I don't think that makes a ton of sense. I know the quarterback class is great, but I don't think that makes a ton of sense because you're now in year 3 of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, and you have a rookie quarterback. I think you have your quarterback on your roster this year, and I think that guy is Desmond Ridder. He's going to sit for a little while. I think if he gets picked here, he's definitely going to get forced into action. He's mobile, but accuracy is an issue. As you saw in that Alabama game, he went 17 for 32 against an SEC defense. So there isn't a ton of upside, but I think this guy has a shot to be a franchise quarterback. But, Justin, you've seen him play more than me, and you have him going there. What would you expect from Desmond Ridder if he gets drafted to the Lions at 32?
Yeah, I think he can kind of bring in another, winning. I think he was 42-5 at Cincinnati. Like he
won, but he won in a bad conference. Let's be honest.
He did, but again, he won though. Like I think even in that Lions ranking, you kind of get a guy that kind of knows how to win. knows how the experience of winning, I think could help a locker room out. I think for kind of his on the field stuff, I think he does fit kind of the new style here of NFL quarterbacks. He can send plays. He's very athletic, but yeah, it's the inconsistencies, and part of that too is he just kind of gets stuck at times on his first read. And again, that kind of locks eyes with wide receivers, and that causes trouble. And I think that was part of that Alabama game where he struggled. He kind of locked eyes a couple times. And so, yeah, I think that's that. But he's very athletic, and I think, he can extend the plays for you. I do like him. I'm with you. Like, I think there's a chance he can be a franchise quarterback, but I'm not totally sold on him. But, yeah, I think it's good to hear, too. Again, maybe Goff, kind of the veteran guy, can kind of help him learn the system and all that. But I think Ritter's a guy that's going to go out there, try to get better. I think it seems like he's got a very good work ethic, and I think he could bring something to Detroit and kind of help them improve for the future with Dan Campbell.
We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But that's going to wrap it up for the draft. But the Nets are done. They've been swept. But before we talk about that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
Come on out for a day of fun to the Cove Kids Classic, presented by Clarity. Friday, May 6, 2022 at Lyman Orchards Golf Club to benefit the Cove Center for Grieving Children. Partnership opportunities are available. All proceeds from the Cove Kids Classic support the Cove's free programs. Please consider partnering with us to continue to support grieving children and teens in 2022 and beyond. For more information or questions, call Allison Gamber at 203-634-0500 or email allison@covect.org. The Cove Kids Classic takes place Friday, May 6th at Lyman Orchards Golf Club. Registration begins at 8 a.m. Shotgun start at 9 a.m. on the player course.
Alrighty, so we had a shocking result in the NBA playoffs. A lot of people who had the Nets as their favorite to win it all, they wind up getting swept out of the playoffs. It's crazy to think of. I mean, they lost two tough games in the first two games in the series. Then Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are combined 32 points in Game 3. That can't happen. And then they lose Game 4. Durant did all he could in Game 4, but then they lose Game 4. And you look at this, you look at who's most to blame. I think everyone's to blame pretty much. I mean, Steve Nash is not a good coach. That's obvious. Kevin Durant did not play well in Games 2 and 3. But the player I think who is most to blame is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, outside of Game 1, was absolutely pathetic in this series. He was horrible. And then he has the audacity to say after Game 3, we didn't have time to gel. The reason you couldn't gel is because of you. You didn't get vaccinated. That's why your team could not gel. How could you say, we didn't have time to gel as a team? But the reason you couldn't gel is because of you. You didn't get vaccinated. That's why your team couldn't gel. You're the reason. I don't get why Kyrie is saying what he said there. I just don't get Kyrie at all. This was just a horrible performance by the Nets this year. It could not be more of a disappointing season. Them and the Lakers, it's tough to tell who was more disappointing between those two teams, but just absolutely pathetic for the Nets to get swept to the Celtics. I know the Celtics have been playing really well, but you got to win more than one game. You got swept in the first round when you were favorites to win it all. Justin, who do you think is to blame for this? Mostly to blame for this.
It's mostly Kyrie, but I'm with you. It's the whole kind of organization. Yeah, I thought at first that gelling thing was like a joke. Like I thought that was like somebody just kind of made that comment up, and then I heard it was actually real. I was like, he actually really said that. Like he was again, it's his problem. Again, it's you want to be a team guy, get vaccinated. That's kind of the rules. Of kind of Brooklyn there last year. Not being able to play home games. But again, Joe Tsai, the owner, spent $266 million on this team. They didn't win one playoff game. Not one. There's a lot of blame. Steve Nash just got absolutely outcoached. But again, that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant wanted a buddy. They did not want a good coach in Kenny Atkinson, who did a great job when those two guys were injured. But they didn't want to be coached. You wanted Steve Nash. You want a buddy. They want to do whatever they want. So I put a lot on those two. Because I killed LeBron about it. I've killed LeBron about wanting his guys and all that. So I have to kill those two about it as well. And then you got to give Ben Simmons some blame too. And kind of, and like, what is, and I guess this is for Kyrie too. Like, do they really care about winning a title? Because it doesn't really, like, Kyrie did not want to be there in game 4. You saw Kyrie wanted no part of going back to Boston. None. He didn't play well in game 4. He kind of had a spark, a little bit, but like he didn't do much, and Simmons too. It's like, again, back problems are not a very good sign. Again, they linger and all that, but like they're saying if it's all stress related, how is he ever going to play in a playoff game? It's just going to get worse the older he gets. And again, the crazy thing is everybody in the media is killing him too. Like usually we see people kind of go out there and when they're kind of addressing their mental health and all that, they support him. Nobody's supporting Ben Simmons. It's just a total mess. And I think it's all of them. Again, they just did not play well. Jason Tatum did a great job on Kevin Durant. Kyrie just really did not show up. KD did all he could in game 4, but again, they had their chance. Jason Tatum fouled out late in that game, and they just could not come back and win that game. And I think there's a lot of blame for the Nets. And again, and now Kyrie has the after the game 4, like, we're gonna run the team. We're gonna have the meetings now. He was talking about bringing all of his family and friends into the fold. It's just like, yeah, that's not gonna help things. But okay.
Yeah, and I'll get to Simmons, but I think there's two. I got 2 points I want to bring up. First, coaching does matter in this league. Kyrie and KD, Kyrie saying, "Oh, we don't need to be coached. We don't need to be coached." You're 100% wrong about that. LeBron had the most success in his career when he had the best coach in his career, and that was Eric Spoelstra. And I know we used to crush Spoelstra, but when LeBron had Eric Spoelstra, he got to 4 consecutive NBA Finals. And then when he won another championship, he had a pretty good coach in Ty Lue. His 2 best coaches, he won championships with, and then Vogel wasn't great, but you could argue the 3 best coaches LeBron had, he all won championships with. So yes, coaching does matter. And also, the regular season matters. And that's why you got to be available, because the problem is the Nets put themselves in a terrible position. They had to play in the play-in tournament, and they had to play the number 2 seed, the team probably the hottest team in the NBA, and the Boston Celtics. So yes, the regular season does matter, and the Nets acted like it didn't matter, especially Kyrie, by not getting vaccinated and thinking, "Oh, we could just show up in the playoffs and we're going to dominate." That did not happen. That's why the regular season matters. And the Ben Simmons thing. Ben Simmons is just, and I understand he's going through mental health issues. I understand that completely. But the problem with him is it's just been an issue everywhere he's been. He's just been an issue. He's been an issue everywhere he's been. It's just Philadelphia. He didn't want to learn how to shoot. We thought in 2018 Ben Simmons was going to be an outstanding player. He refused to learn how to shoot, and it's continued. And then he got to the Nets, and he never even played. He didn't even play all season long. It's crazy to think of that. It's crazy to think that Ben Simmons didn't play all year long.
Yeah, it is. And again, now it's going to be what? So he last played in June. They lost in Sixers. It's going to be like 18 months. It's like, what type of player is going to be next year? Yeah, that's – again, Simmons has just been a major issue. I don't know what you can do. I know he wants to go play for one of the California teams, but at this point, why would you want if you're LA? Why would you want him to go Lakers or Clippers? I hope my Kings don't want him anymore. The Warriors certainly aren't taking him. Like, he's going to have to play somewhere he doesn't want to. And, I was kind of thinking back, too, of there was times at LSU, too, his freshman year there. He totally looked disinterested. Like, he just did not care. You kind of see that this year, too. And it's been the big problem, and for Simmons. And he's just, again, I think, we talked about it. He didn't get a shot. He could be a really special player. I don't know what it is. I don't want to speculate why he just does not want to do it. Again, I think part of it is, again, everyone's kind of just, probably admitted to him, all of his life, how great he was and all that kind of spiel. And now kind of there's some issues going on, and he's again, he doesn't really know how to deal with it. He doesn't want to fix it. I don't know. But yeah, again, that's been a problem. Yeah. Kyrie again, he's just an issue. And I don't, he's just, again, that Boston team was motivated because, again, Tatum, most of those guys all played with Kyrie. They all heard I was coming back and I was going to be here and I was going to be the franchise guy. That's like the one thing the Celtics are missing is that point guard spot. Like, that Celtics team would be really, really good. And again, to stick it to Kyrie and the city of Boston too, and Kyrie too, stepping on the logo. Like you really asked for it. That Celtic team was not afraid of you, and they showed. I think the Nets too thought like, okay, they're, we're gonna intimidate everybody. We'll find a way. The Celtics were not intimidated one bit. And Ime Udoka too, being with the Nets last year too, he absolutely knew he schemed up some really good things, because again, he probably knew Steve Nash is not the greatest coach in the world. He knew exactly what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Now we got to get to this question: whose legacy does this hurt more, KD or Kyrie's? Obviously, this definitely hurts Kyrie's legacy, but Kyrie's legacy has been hurt ever since he wanted to leave LeBron James. He leaves LeBron James, then he goes to the Celtics. Then, him being out actually helped the Celtics get to the conference finals. Comes back the next year, holds Tatum and Brown back. Then he signs with the Nets. I think he was banged up his first year. Then he takes time off for no reason in year 2, and then this year, we all know the story with the vaccination thing. Kyrie's legacy has taken a major fall. It's all been downhill since he hit that game-winning shot against the Warriors to win the championship. It's just been all downhill for Kyrie since then. And KD, yes, it does hurt his legacy, because there's a lot. You can argue now, if he didn't go to Golden State, he probably wouldn't have a championship. Yes, he won 2 championships, but he joined Steph Curry's team. He truly joined someone else's team. When LeBron James joined the Heat, it became his team. The Heat became LeBron James's team. It was Dwayne Wade's team until LeBron James came, and then it became his team. When Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, it was Steph Curry's team, and it continued to be Steph Curry's team. So yes, I do think this hurts Durant's legacy. And Jay Williams said it perfectly yesterday. He's always the guy who's the passenger on the bus. He's always the guy who's the passenger on the bus. He's not the leader. And that was the thing with the Nets. Kyrie Irving was the leader, not Kevin Durant. And you cannot have Kyrie Irving be the leader of your team and think you're a champ and be a championship team. That cannot happen. Kyrie Irving cannot be the leader of your team, and you can't be a championship team with Kyrie Irving as your leader. It's as simple as that. And I think in Game 4, the one positive for Durant is I feel like he's gonna become the guy in that team, because he didn't even want to look in Kyrie's direction in Game 4. He played his heart out. He scored 39 points. I feel like for the Nets to be a championship team, KD has got to be that guy. And to improve KD's legacy, he has got to be that guy with the Nets, and not have Kyrie be the guy.
Yeah, I think also KD's, you're kind of talking right now. Yeah, he's never really the leader. And again, it just played a great Game 4. But I think part of it too that hurts his legacy is he's another guy. Again, I don't know if you've seen his Twitter, but all he's doing right now is just responding to all the hate. And it's just like, why, he's at all the burner accounts. Like, that doesn't help your legacy either, that you respond to all this and you're actually sitting there kind of wasting your time, Again, I think that's part of it. Again, yeah, he joined a Warriors team that was already stacked. He already had, Curry and Thompson, and, they were in Draymond Green, are really good players. And then, couldn't get it done with Russell Westbrook. Again, I think we're kind of seeing why. But, yeah, again, I think he really probably questions why he teamed up here with Kyrie Irving. I think that kind of hurt him as well. But he's kind of, again, he's a terrific player, and I wish he did win Oklahoma City. But yeah, he's, I think he made a great point. If he's not the leader, he's not the guy right now. And he's got to be assertive in that. But I don't think that's him, though. I don't think that's him. I think he'd rather. I know you kind of saw some flashes in Game 4, but you got to kind of see it next year. And with Kyrie, yeah, it definitely does. Again, has he really played more than 70? Probably the last time he's played 70 games or more, probably with the Cavaliers. He really has not played the last 3-4 years, and that hurts. That you can't stay on the floor, because he's a very talented player when he wants to be. But again, you don't know when that's ever going to be, and that's a big issue. Again, I know we've mentioned it a lot before, but again, this guy didn't want to play with LeBron James. That's saying a lot about him. And yeah, it definitely hurts his legacy. Again, he played great Game 1. Again, he came back, all the trash talking. You saw the 2 middle fingers at the fans. Again, he's another guy that it does not help that you go after fans like that. It doesn't help your legacy out like that. But yeah, both of their legacies have definitely taken a step back. But definitely Kyrie's has definitely take a step back more because he just does not play, and that's a huge issue.
The next question is KD is Kyrie still a superstar, and is KD still top 5? I think the first one's easy. Kyrie being a superstar. I feel like he's not been a superstar since 2019 when he was holding Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown back in Boston. He hasn't been a superstar since then. So he's absolutely not a superstar and not an elite player in this league because he's not a leader. He's talented, but he's not a leader, and he doesn't make guys around him better. Is KD top 5? I'm going to say right now, no. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say KD right now is not a top 5 player in the league. Now, if he becomes more of a lead, he's really talented, but his play in the postseason, his lack of leadership, I think takes him out of the top 5. But if he becomes more of a leader next year in Brooklyn, I think he can get back into the top 5. But currently right now, I don't have him in the top 5.
No, I'm with you with KD. I think Tatum takes the spot. What you saw Tatum do, I think Tatum deserves to be in the number 5 right now. I think defensively too, he did a great job on KD. I have KD number 6. I have Tatum number 5 right now. That could obviously flip flop next year. Yeah, definitely the Nets can kind of get back there and go on a run here, win a title. I think KD can easily get back there because he's got so much talent in the world, and he certainly could get back in there. With Kyrie, yeah, he really has in the last 3-4 years. And you're right, he just does not make anybody around him better. And that's, the great players can do that. Kyrie hasn't been able to do that. And I think Kyrie has a lot of me in him. And I think that has held him back as well. And, again, that's not a good teammate, and that does not make guys around you better, as we mentioned. And yeah, so I don't think Kyrie's a superstar either. As you mentioned too, he's a horrible leader. He just, again, you're not showing up. Yeah, the year 2 stuff of just not wanting to play is just totally ridiculous. I know you're not supposed to scream at your superstars, but if I was a GM or owner, I would have really given him a piece of my mind because that's ridiculous. It's your job and you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a basketball game and you don't want him. I don't get the reasoning for it.
Absolutely. So now we got to move on to the Sixers. And the Sixers, we all thought they were going to roll past the Raptors, but then Embiid has a thumb injury. They lose Game 4. We still think in Game 5 without VanVleet. They might end up winning the series in 5. But an absolutely disgraceful performance on Monday. The team only scores 88 points, and James Harden has proven right now that he's not a top 15 player in this league. He can't beat guys off the dribble the way he used to. He can't shoot the ball the way he used to. He's not a top 15 player. And honestly, it's crazy to even think who got the better of the trade, the Sixers or Nets, because it's looking bad for both teams right now. And I think the big question is, can the Sixers blow this? Can they make history and be the first team to have a 3-0 lead and not win a series? I think it's possible. I still think they win it in 7 because I don't know what VanVleet's status is right now for the Raptors. But if Butler's back for the Heat in the second round, they got no shot at beating the Miami Heat with the way they're playing right now.
No, and I kind of mentioned what happens when they can't get to the line. Like James Harden can't get to the line. He went to the line the other night 6 times. Shot 38% from the field. They didn't run any pick and roll, and I don't know if that's because Embiid's thumb hurts or whatnot. But it's like James Harden, he doesn't even hustle on the floor anymore. He just jogs. Like he's been horrible. He's totally been horrible. Toronto, Siakam's been really good. Pizza Chue had a really good game. Yeah, again, look at Doc. Doc's had a lot of history of blowing series too. There's a long list. I won't go through it. It's a long list. I wouldn't be shocked either. I think they do find a way because I think they are more talented than the Raptors are, even though Toronto's a very good team. I think they'll find a way. But yeah, I think I'm very worried right now with the Sixers. It's an uphill collapse. Again, the bench just has not. Bench is inconsistent. They don't get much off of that. So yeah, right now for the Sixers, they're really struggling right now, and they got no shot against Miami because it does not sound like Embiid needs surgery to get that thumb healthy, and that's not happening obviously till they lose. So yeah, they're in big trouble right now.
Yeah, I mean with Embiid being banged up, and the thing with Embiid being banged up is Maxi's not the same. You saw in games 4 and 5, Maxi wasn't even close to the same as he was in games in the first 3 games of the series because You don't have to double Embiid in the post. He's not as effective. I mean, he's definitely not he's scoring. He's still good, really good, but he's not the same player when he's banged up than when he's healthy. When he's healthy, he's a top 5 player in the league. When he's not the same player. So that, Maxey gets worse because Embiid's not as good. And I definitely could see this being a collapse, but I do think the Sixers squeak it out. Yeah,
I do too. I think they'll find a way in Game 7 and get the win. But again, I could see Toronto being up late in that game and somehow Philly finds a way to close it out. But I would not be shocked either if Toronto somehow comes back and wins this game.
Absolutely. So moving over onto the Western Conference. On Sunday, the Nuggets beat the Warriors. Jokic had a big game, but the big question is, do the Nuggets have any chance of getting back in the series against the Warriors? And I say no, because I think the Warriors are playing better than any team in the NBA right now, with Clay, with Steph, with Jordan Poole. They're playing better than anyone. Right now, I think they're the team to beat. That's why I think tonight they easily win this in 5.
Yeah, I think they win this one too. But, I know we're talking about legacy a minute ago, but Jokic deserves a lot of credit to somehow put, the way he's been able to put the team on his back and his skill level. Again, I would love to see Jamal Murray and them have Michael Porter Jr. because I think that would have been a really fantastic series. But Jokic's a special player. But I don't think there's any way they go to San Francisco tonight and knock off the Warriors. The Warriors won the first 2 games in San Francisco by an average 18 points. I think the Warriors get back on track. I think Curry shoots the ball better tonight. I think Jordan Poole shoots the ball better tonight. And the Warriors win this thing. Maybe close for a half, but by the second half, I think the Warriors blow them out.
Oh, absolutely. I think the Warriors win this easy and get to the second round. But we got to recap what happened last night. And how about Ja Morant? And the thing was that Ja Morant wasn't having that good of a game until that dunk. But once he had that dunk, he turned it around and he took over and he played like a superstar. He put the team on his back, which he needed to because he didn't play well in games 3 or game 4. But he put his team on his back last night, had the big 3 to put them up 1, and he had the big layup at the end. He was outstanding. He had 30 points and 9 assists to put the Grizzlies up 3-2. The big question is, what do the Grizzlies got to do to close out the series on Thursday night? Continue to have Ja take over like he did in the fourth quarter, but I feel like Ja's got to do it from the start. He's had some issues doing it from the start the last 3 games. I feel like Ja's got to take over from the start. Do not give the Timberwolves a chance. Be great from the start of that game. And I think if he's great from the start, I think the Grizzlies take care of business and get to the second round.
Yeah, I think for the Grizzlies, Ja Morant had a great fourth quarter after really showing the first 3 quarters. He got it going there in the fourth and put him on the back there. Won him the big game there because it seemed like, down by 13 points there. Seemed that they were in a lot of trouble. But I think for the Grizzlies here to win this game, or to win game 6, I think, obviously for Morant's got to continue to kind of bounce off what he did there in game 5. But I also think, too, for the Grizzlies is, they got to keep being relentless on the offensive glass. They've done a great job getting second chance points. Clark I think he had 9 offensive rebounds yesterday or something. The Grizzlies really have been attacking the glass, getting a lot of second chance points. I think that's a huge thing there for Memphis. They've been really good in that area, especially when that offense goes cold at times. Their second chance points there could be really important for the Grizzlies to kind of help them stick around while they kind of go through a cold streak.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So now for the Timberwolves, what do they have to do to come back and win this series? I think there's 2 things. D'Angelo Russell has got to step it up. He's only averaged 13 points a game in this postseason. And a lot of people thought, outside of Ja Morant, the top 3 players in the series would be Katz, Edwards, and Russell. That's not been the case. Russell's got to step up. Number 2, they got to have either Edwards. I know Edwards hit the big shot last night, but they got to have either Edwards or Karl Anthony Towns take over the game in the fourth quarter. They didn't do that in games 3 and 5. And yes, Chris Finch made a big mistake not calling a timeout in game 3 and letting the Grizzlies go on a 21-0 run. But if Edwards and Towns are going to be great, one of those 2 guys has got to step up in the fourth quarter. Neither did in either games 3 or 5. Towns did in game 4. One of those 2 guys has got to step up like that if the Timberwolves, in both games, if the Timberwolves want to get to the second round.
Yeah, for the Timberwolves to stay alive here and kind of get to able to get to the advanced second round. Yeah, I think they need Karl Anthony Towns to have foul trouble in this game. done a pretty good job. But again, like late in the fourth quarter, you're going to need him on the floor to make some plays for you. So he's got to stay out of foul trouble there in game number 6. I think also a huge thing has been their turnovers. They've been averaging 18 turnovers a game this series. And again, with how high flying, Morant is, Jackson, they got a lot of skill. Again, you can't give them easy points like that because it's going to mean the difference. And it has hurt them in a couple games, I feel like, this series. So I think for them, they got to be able to, stay away from the turnover bug. And I think they need somebody off the bench, they need somebody off the bench to score because in their 2 victories, Malik Beasley had 15 and Jerry McLaurin, had 18, in the 2 wins. So when they get somebody off the bench, they've been able to win this, win games this series. So I think they need somebody off the bench, in game number 6 to kind of help out, hopefully they get Russell going too. I think, as you mentioned, that would be a huge piece too, kind of getting those guys going because having like that 4th score, if you can get Russell going, you can get somebody off that bench, it's going to be very tough to beat them.
Absolutely. So the Suns beat the Pelicans last night, 112-97 to go up 3-2 in their series. So the series goes back to New Orleans. Chris Paul trying to close out a series in New Orleans. And I think for the Suns to close out the series, Chris Paul has got to come out like he did last night, saying that we're not losing this game. I'm going to make sure this team doesn't lose this game. He's got to come out with that same mentality in game 6 like he did in game 5. He can't come out with the mentality he did at the beginning of game 3 or in game 4. He's got to come out with the mentality he had in game 5. If that happens, I think the Suns close out this series. Yeah,
I'm with you. I think, Chris Paul, had a tough couple games there, but he played really well last night. Yeah, they definitely need that from him again, especially without Devontae, without Booker. They really need him to have a really, they're going to need him to be a scorer. And I think like a guy like Mikal Bridges last night who stepped up, that's what they're going to need without Booker, for how long he's to be out. I think they need somebody like that to have a big outing for him to kind of take some pressure, even off Chris Paul there, to be able to win that series. So I think for Bridges, again, he continue to be a scorer like he was. And if Chris Paul can kind of continue what he did in game number 5 and kind of progress that, the Phoenix should wrap this thing up.
Absolutely. So for the Pelicans to try to come back and win the series, what they're going to need someone else outside of McCollum, Ingram, or Valanciunas to step up, which really hasn't happened in this series. They need someone else to step up in this series. So that's the only way I can see the Pelicans coming back and winning this series.
Yeah, they definitely do. They need somebody outside of that top 3 there to get going, and kind of take some pressure off them. Ingram's had a really unbelievable series. Again, it was Valanciunas. I think that's my other key thing for this series or for Pelicans is the offensive rebounding too. They've been in the 2 victories, they've been really good on the offensive glass. They have for the whole series, but in the 2 games specifically, they've really dominated that offensive glass. Valanciunas. They got to continue to do that, take kind of advantage of that, get a lot of second chance points off of their misses. They did not shoot the ball well last night. If they could turn that into a lot of second chance opportunities, could be really key to help them kind of find a way to get back in that series. But also at your point as well is, they need somebody outside that top 3 there to get going for them. Again, they can't. They're going to fall in game 6.
Absolutely. So before we get to the Jazz and the Mavs, we got a comment from Xander. Victor Oladipo showing last night. He goes, yeah, you definitely can, and that's going to strengthen that bench. That is really going to strengthen that bench. And if Butler's healthy, I think the Heat got a really good chance to win the East if Butler is healthy. I mean, with him, with Bam, with Hero, with Victor, I think and obviously you got one of the best coaches in the NBA, and Eric Spoelstra, probably the best culture in the NBA. I really like the Chiefs' chances to win the East if Oladipo could play the way he played last night.
Yeah, he's played well in the playoffs. They definitely kind of need him without Butler last night. He played well coming off the injury. He hasn't played. He's still getting his legs underneath him. But if they can get another performance like that from him, they're going to be tough to beat because they got a lot of shooters. Him, Hero, Robinson. Oh yeah, the Heat right now. They're playing really well. And again, we just talked about the Sixers. Again, Embiid's not healthy. Again, the Heat probably should roll through Philadelphia.
Absolutely. So we'll wrap up with the Mavs and the Jazz. Mavericks lead the series 3-2, heading to Utah for Game 6. But this series, if Luka was healthy, should be over. And if Dwight Powell could hit a free throw, it would be over. So the Jazz are very lucky they're still in this series. I think this team is a mess. I think this team, this team is just. I think with the way this team is constructed, they are never winning a championship. 5 years, they have not gotten to the conference finals. Obviously, lost in the first round in Mitchell's rookie year, lost in the second round of Mitchell's rookie year, lost in the first round the next 2 years, and then last year being the number 1 seed without Kawhi Leonard, they couldn't even get to the conference finals. This team, and then this year they get 3 games without Luka. They lose 2 out of those 3 games. This team needs to get broken up. They either got to get rid of Mitchell. They either got, and they would be starting over, but at this point, they're not going anywhere with him being their best player. They got to maybe get rid of Gobert, do something, blow this thing up. The Jazz cannot come back the way they were, the way they are next season.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I know, after the Gobert stuff in 2022, or I mean in 2020 with the COVID stuff, kind of broke up that locker room, and I just don't think it's kind of been the same. I know before they've kind of had their struggles, but yeah, I just don't think it's right in there. Something needs to change. Unfortunately, with Donovan Mitchell leaving, again, that would really hurt. But yeah, this core had not worked out in the playoffs. They just have not shot the ball well at all this series, and they were the best offensive team coming in, and they just have not shot the ball well. Dallas has done a great job defensively, but it is pretty surprising how bad they shot the basketball. It is probably time to maybe change some things up in Utah.
Absolutely. And the last question is, can Lucas came back at 2 games where he scored over 30 points. Can he carry this team to the finals? I think if Devin Booker doesn't play, they win the next series. I think they get to the conference finals, but I think Golden State's going to be too much for them if they get to the conference finals. But I do think they win next series. I think they do win the next series if Devin Booker doesn't play.
Yeah, if Booker's out, I think they have a very good shot at beating the Suns. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they have enough to beat the Warriors. I don't think they have enough scoring. He's been great. Jalen Brunson's been really, really good. But yeah, outside of those 2, I don't know. Could they consistently get a number 3 scorer like the Warriors have? And I just don't think so. And I think that would make the difference in the Western Conference Final. Luka's good enough. He'll definitely get Dallas to win at some point, but I don't think it'll be this year.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to win a title. I mean, he's that good. He's top 5. But I just don't think he has enough around him to beat a Golden State this year. But that's going to wrap it up on Sports Talk with R&J. For our producer, Jace Garcia, did a great job. And for Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week recapping the draft, talking NBA playoffs, talking baseball, talking NHL playoffs, and the Kentucky Derby. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group, and here at CMG we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men, and great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting Clovercrest